Well, hello, Thought. Hey, so this is just going to be a quick little tutorial video. I have no idea if there's actually an audience for this, but I like using a whole bunch of published content in D&D Beyond, and, the developers, they try their best, but, I want to use things very quickly. Hopefully the stream is going smooth, and luckily my notifications aren't showing up on the capture, so that's great. So I'm going to just start off by adding the College of the Maestro version 1.2. It's available on DM's Guild. Pay what you want. Published by Matt Mercer. It's the one Critical Role class that hasn't really been added because no one plays it in the show. Here, let me post a link in chat. That doesn't work. There it is. So yeah, we're gonna just start off getting right into it. Make a new subclass for the Bard. We could create it from scratch. I like going off of the templates just because it makes things easier on me. So let's go ahead and create that. So it starts off, takes you to this page where it's just like, hey, this is a copy of the College of Lore. But this is not the College of Lore. This is College of the Maestro. It is most definitely a different style of play. Thank you, Crispy Mango. I really like this class mechanically. I think it's very well designed because it just gives you so many more uses. Not only does it give you more bardic inspiration, but it gives you a lot of ways to use that bardic inspiration. Mechanically, some of the stuff reminds me of like older editions of bards. I've never played a bard before 5th edition, but this reminds me a lot of one of the NPCs that I made, which was a bard in Pathfinder. So, start off, you need to give it a description. Thankfully, Matt Mercer has already provided us with a description. Normally, we'd be able to copy and paste, but we can't do that for Matt Mercer's PDFs, so I went ahead and actually typed all of this out because I hate myself. It does indeed lean more into the musical aspect of the bard. So, very long description. You'll notice that at the end of this, I'm putting a big disclaimer here. This subclass is not to be published on D&D Beyond because none of us own it. It's Matt Mercer's. But here, we'll give it that description. We need to make sure that both of these are filled in. If you want to, you can just put a dot if you really don't feel like filling things out. But I feel like we should stay pretty true to the class. Because this is a bard, spellcasting ability is still charisma. Hate yourself, love your viewers. Thank you, Crispy Mango. But yeah, once we put all those housekeeping stuff in there, save changes so that it'll refresh. And actually, one thing that I do to just keep myself straight is, since this is a class that it's not finished, we just started on it, I like to just add drafts so that like my players know, hey, don't pick this up yet, Connor's still working on it. So let's save that again. So to start off, the Bardic College of Lore had 4 class abilities. Well, we're just going to go ahead and overwrite them. So if we scroll down, the first ability that Matt included in this is the Battle Muse. So whenever you join the College of Maestro at 3rd level, you gain 1 additional use of your Bardic Inspiration feature, which is good to know. Unfortunately, in D&D Beyond, we are not going to be able to go ahead and modify the base class features. Well, instead, we're going to do a little bit of a workaround. And this second line is also very important. This feature gains you another additional use of Bardic Inspiration at 6th level, and once again at 14th level. So what we have here is a limited class use ability. Or that's what we would have if we were doing base if we were actually modifying the base Bardic Inspiration feature. So we sort of just usurped the bonus proficiencies class skill that the College of Lore had. So we need to get rid of these modifiers. It's pretty simple. All we need to do is go in and delete them. It'll refresh the page, which is a little inconvenient, but it's good to have things continuously update so that we don't lose anything. But like I said, what this is, and this is Battle Muse, not a bonus proficiency. Whoops. So this is class level 3. This is the first subclass thing that we're doing, so we'll put it at display order 1. No options, we'll worry about that later. But this is a limited use class ability. Yeah, so let's add that. So we can't add more Bardic Inspirations, but what we can do is we can add a second pool of Bardic Inspirations. So what I'm going to name this is Additional Bardic Inspiration. I believe Bardic Inspiration refreshes after a short rest. Thankfully, I have D&DBeyond, so I can double check that really quickly. Or our resident bard can tell me in chat. Bardic Inspiration. When you finish a long rest. Okay, that's good to know. So we'll save this for a long rest. At level 3, we get that one additional use, so we'll save that. So every time I add a class ability, what do I want to know? Every time I add a class ability, I like to go ahead and test that out, and I like to do that with a test character. So this is going to be our little Bardic Maestro. We never gave him a subclass. Let's do that. They are long rest, okay. Is the stream buffering? It doesn't look like it. Alright, so we need to make his Bardic College the Bardic of the Maestro draft. That's one that I'm currently working on. Yeah, I think Battle Muse. Yeah, that's the class ability that we added. So everything looks good here. So we're just going to go back and view the class. Yeah, I thought Link would be a cool Maestro. And we see here we have at 3rd level 2 uses of Bardic Inspiration, and now we have an additional Bardic Inspiration. So it is kind of weird having 2 tracks, but it's just a convenient way to add it for now until they go ahead and import it officially. All right. So we have our first use of Bardic Inspiration that we get from this, but we get another one at 6th level and 14th level. We're not going to go back and add 2 other class features. That's stupid. Instead, what we can do is add another limited use feature. Additional Bardic Inspiration. That once again resets at a short rest at level 6 and give it 2 uses of Bardic Inspiration. So what? Oh, long rest. Whoops. So at higher levels, it seems to me that limited use class abilities at higher levels will overwrite previous versions that are made at lower levels. That's how you scale up your class features. And we can test this by going to our wonderful Wood Elf Bard Link and just boost him up to level 6. It'll give us more choices, but thankfully you don't have to actually make any of them. Yeah, we don't have to do the ability score improvement. We don't have to do the additional magical secrets yet. In fact, we're not going to get that. I think that's a lore feature. But if we go back to our character sheet and we check out that limited use class feature, hey, it updated to 2, and we still have the 2 from our regular Bardic Inspiration. So awesome, it's working how we expect it to. Which means, hey, if we do it once more for 14th level, additional Bardic Inspiration, give a reset type of long rest at level 14, and give it 3 uses. This should also work. The secrets feature is College of Lore, yeah, that's what I thought. So yeah, it's just one thing to like keep track of whenever you're testing out your changes. If you are using another class as a template. As you get more experienced in homebrewing, I'm sure you can just go ahead and take care of everything. You probably know the whole system by now. Or by then. But yeah, look, we got 3 additional Bardic Inspirations. Awesome. Our charisma never changed, so we never get more Bardic Inspirations up here. So awesome, it looks like we got our first class feature down. So we can save that, go back to our base class or base subclass page, and we can update our second description or second class feature. So this one, we also get at 3rd level. Awesome. Is going to be our Symphony of Conflict, and this is the big class feature from this particular subclass. We have been trained in the bardic art of mystically manipulating the sounds of combat into a concert of powerful melodies that do stuff. I can't read and copy paste at the same time. Essentially, this is going to be our same type of class feature as a Battlemaster maneuver, but for a bard. So you could have all this in the same class feature. I prefer to have all of my options in a separate class feature, and that is because if I go into make a copy of the Battlemaster class, I'll see that, hey, maneuvers are a separate subclass from Student of War. If we go into maneuvers, we learn how we're actually supposed to set up these class features. So this is the Symphony of Conflict. Never be afraid to just copy another class and just have it there for reference. That's how I learned how to do all this, or that's how I am learning how to do all this. Because this isn't an actual, this isn't where we're going to learn the stuff. We don't really have to worry about the activation time for this. Instead, what we're going to do is not worry about these for now. And we're going to add our conducting techniques. So Maestro doesn't give any description for the conducting techniques. The Battlemaster does, the Gunslinger also does, and they just normally say, hey, these things are presented in alphabetical order. We get this at 3rd level. This is our 3rd class feature that we added to this. The important thing for something like this, something like the conducting techniques, something like the Battlemaster, is that we have to make sure that we check that this class has options. If we don't, our players won't actually be able to select anything. I need to turn on my computer charger before I lose the stream. And we need to make sure that our players get those class features whenever they level up. If we check out the Symphony of Conflict, we know that whenever we select it at 3rd level, we learn 2 conducting techniques. So in order to make sure that the system gives our players that, we need to say, hey, we get that option at 3rd level and at 3rd level, so we get 2 of them at 3rd level. We learn 1 additional conducting technique. It's been a long day. Of our choice at 6th and 14th level. So we get 1 more at 6th level, and we get another one at 14th level. Make sure that you have commas between all of those because we can't have a level 36 character. Not in D&D Beyond, anyway. And we do want to make sure that those are both in the builder and the sheet. So we're going to just go ahead and create the class feature. Now we can go ahead and start adding those options. So let's go ahead and do that. So our first one, the aria of suspense. Most of this is just going to be copy and paste. So aria of suspense. You build an air of tension and paranoia with subtle, droning tones. As an action, you expend and roll a bardic inspiration die for the next 10 minutes. Creatures of your choice within 60 feet cannot be surprised and gain a bonus on saving throws against traps and environmental hazards, equal to your bardic inspiration die roll. Which, hey, that's pretty cool. We have to be 3rd level in order to learn these things, so make sure to put at 3rd level. This takes 1 action, and it's not like an Eldritch Invocation that relies on a previous class ability, so we don't have to worry about the prerequisites. So this doesn't modify ourself. This isn't something that like says, hey, from now on until the rest of the game, you get like +1 on your attacks. So we don't have to worry about modifiers. This doesn't grant us any spells, and this doesn't really give us any new limited use abilities. This is just something that we could do as an action. So this should be fine. So let's save that. And I want to add 1 more before I test this, because at 3rd level we do get 2 of these. So I accidentally went back to the base class page instead of back to the conducting techniques page, but that's fine. I can just go back into it and add another option. So our second conducting technique is Crash Mercato. I do not know Italian. The most Italian that I've ever gotten was playing Assassin's Creed. So I'm gonna butcher all these in my terrible American accent. We learn how to harness and amplify the roar of a well-placed flow into a violent explosion of sound. When a creature other than ourselves within 6 feet of us hits with an attack, we can use our reaction, that's important, to expend and roll a bardic inspiration die. The target of the triggering attack must make a strength saving throw against our spell save DC, or take thunder damage equal to half the number rolled and be knocked prone. So we don't have to worry about things that affect other things. D&D Beyond doesn't say, hey, you affect this monster page or whatever. We only have to worry about what happens to ourselves and what time it takes to do this. So this is something that we get at 3rd level. This takes 1 reaction and doesn't rely on prerequisites. It's awesome. We have 2 of these, so now we can test it out. So if I go back and manage Link's levels, I'm actually going to boot him back to 3rd level. And hopefully D&D Beyond doesn't freak out on me because I don't have enough class levels. No, I need to go back to 3rd level. It should update. Yeah, it's prompting us to choose 2 conducting techniques. We'll get both of these. Awesome. So now let's go back to our page and make sure that, hey, we've got all this stuff. So this isn't a limited use ability, so it doesn't show up here. But if we go into our class features and we go into our conducting techniques, hey, we'll see we've got both of these. Having our action and everything, it seems like it's going to be more important whenever the character sheet revamp is going to happen, which should be this month, which, dating this video, but it's just nice to fill in. Just make sure, like, hey, this is an action, this is a reaction. Because there's no other place to really take care of that. Awesome. So let's go back and add the rest of these conducting techniques. The next one is the Dirge of Dread, the finale. Oop, that is not what I need to be updating. You play a terrifying dirge to accompany a death blow, striking fear into the hearts of nearby enemies. When an ally brings a creature within 30 feet to 0 hit points, you can use your reaction. Okay, so reaction. Get this at 3rd level. It is 1 reaction. Which, if you really wanted to, you could skip doing all of this, at least with how D&D Beyond is right now. But, like I said, in a future update, it might be great to know what abilities take what time. Our next one is Dissonance, Discordia. Summoning a harsh, discordant tone, you muddle the mind of an opponent, lessening their defenses. When a creature within 60 feet is forced to make a saving throw, you can use your reaction to roll a Bardic Inspiration die. I really like just how much it focuses on, hey, use your Bardic Inspiration. We're giving you more, use them. Chris Mango says, dated. Yeah, I've definitely dated this video. But like, I feel like they're gonna just add this anyway, so it doesn't hurt that I'm adding this. Once again, disclaiming, I don't own this, I'm not affiliated with Critical Role or D&D Beyond. I just feel like, hey, this is something that I use it for. I want to make sure other people can use it for the same thing. Awesome, so we've added this with the reaction and everything. Okay, cool. Let's go back. Once again, went a bit too far. I just go back into my conducting techniques and add another option. So our next one is going to be our guiding tone, our fermata. We drag a sharp, powerful chord through the mind of a creature, forcing it to suddenly stumble in a direction that we wish. That's cool. As a bonus action. Okay, so this is the first time that, excuse me, one of these is taking a bonus action. Target must succeed on wisdom saving throw or take psychic damage equal to half the number rolled and be pushed 10 feet. And they can fail voluntarily. So that's nice. You can push your friends around if they want. Alright, so hey, we're going to the second page of this. We're about halfway through our conducting techniques. So yeah, a lot of choice, a lot of variety in this class, and you only get 4, so unless you take this feat, which I am not going to homebrew today. But our next one is going to be Hasten Tempo Accelerando. Your manipulation of tempo Your manipulation of tempo and song can inspire others to act more quickly. You can use a bonus action on your turn to choose one creature other than yourself within 60 feet. Roll a thing and move them up the initiative order accordingly. And if they come after you, yeah, so this will mess up the initiative order, which if they do an initiative tracker, this is going to be really complicated for them. But I'm sure DMs will react accordingly. Creature can't be affected by this until I finish short or long rests. That's fine. It's not something that your player needs to worry about. Well, it is, but it's not something that they need to worry about on their sheet. Is this a bonus action? Yeah. Awesome. So moving on to the Hymn of Harmony, Armonia. The melodies surrounding your allies promote rapid recovery. This is actually my favorite. When a creature that has a Bardic Inspiration die from you regains any hit points they can expend and roll their Inspiration die to regain additional hit points equal to the number rolled. So this is also different. This is not something that our character has, or our player who is using this class has to worry about. It's still something that they would take at 3rd level. But the activation time isn't something that they have to worry about, so we'll just say that it's special. Because it is sort of weird that they have to worry about using it whenever they heal hit points. So, because our bard is probably going to be the one casting like Healing Word or whatever, it's probably best for them to keep an eye on it, but this isn't something that they can do. Majestic Anthem, Maestro. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Pulled from the chaos, you muster an uplifting melody that bolsters the resolve of your allies. You can expend and roll a Bardic Inspiration die as an action. Awesome, action. And other creatures you choose within 60 feet gain temporary hit points equal to the number you rolled plus your charisma modifier. And they last until the end of your next turn. So temporary hit points are normally something that we would have to worry about. But, again, not something that we're doing to ourselves. So it's not something that we can really add to this class. Alright, going back to conducting techniques, because we still got 2 more. Resonance. Resonanza. And that is the worst way I could pronounce it, but I tried. You shape the harmonic vibrations of a weapon's movement into a dangerous sonic enhancement. Using a bonus action, you can expend and roll a Bardic Inspiration die choosing one weapon within 60 feet of you. Until the end of your next turn, all attacks with that weapon deal additional thunder damage equal to half the number rolled. So that's really cool if you have like a hasted fighter that has 3 attacks and is also using their action surge. But again, that's not something that's necessarily going to happen to our character. So we're not going to worry about it. But oh, this is 3rd level. This is still something that we have to use as a bonus action. Bonus action, yeah. And our last conducting technique is going to be Sprint. Presto. Presto. Song you conjure can stir the winds, which is another great reason that I'm using Link and his Wind Waker. You have to do it in the accent to make it more convincing. Presto. A creature that has a Bardic Inspiration die from you can expend and roll all their inspiration to increase their speed for that turn. So this isn't something that we'll be doing, so this is not going to require an action. We can honestly just leave it blank, and I think that's what I'm going to do for this one. This is just a tutorial. I don't need to be consistent, and I'm just using this for private games. Okay, so that's all of our conducting techniques. Making sure that we have them at all the available class levels. Awesome, so let's go back and just make doubly, triply sure that Link is going to be able to take those whenever he gets up to 14th level. Awesome, so our Bardic Inspiration die went up. We do get an additional conducting technique. It does prompt us that, so let's take Sprint. Well, that's great. There's a car alarm going right outside my window. Luckily, the mic doesn't seem to be picking it up until I start talking. God, I hope that's not my car. Okay, it stopped. That's great. But cool, looks like everything there has been taken care of, so let's go ahead and add our final 2 class abilities, Frenetic Crescendo and the Virtuoso of Captivation. So I have deleted the other class abilities just because, from what I've seen, whenever you try to like add another class ability in the middle of 2 others, the display order just gets all messed up. So it's just better to just delete them and overwrite them with your own. Luckily, Frenetic Crescendo. Luckily, the class abilities that we're going to add don't relate at all to the College of Lore abilities that we would be overwriting, so this is fine. Oh, okay, you did pick up the car alarm. That's great. Nah, that was definitely on my end. Because this is the production quality you all came here for. So at 6th level, we can harness the beat of a battle, whipping it into a frenzy of drums, chants, and glory. We can use our action to expend any uses of our Bardic Inspiration feature. For each expended use, you can immediately grant a Bardic Inspiration die to a creature other than ourselves within 60 feet that we can see. So essentially what this class ability is flushing out our Bardic Inspiration and giving it to all of the other players, which is great. It does take an action, but besides that, we're not affecting anything on our page. Our players are going to have to go in and mark off the Bardic Inspirations that they're using. So, this is actually a very simple class ability to add. We get this at 6th level, and this is the 4th, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, this 4th class ability that's going to be displayed, and there's no options for this. It's awesome. Whenever our players can take this, they can just dump it. This is a limited class ability. We have to finish a long rest before we can use it again. So let's make sure that we add that on our players page. Frenetic Crescendo. You get it at long rest, level 6, and they can only use it once. Right. So awesome. If we go back to Link's page and refresh, since he's already past 6th level and it's not an option, he won't be prompted to take it, it'll just give it to him. Awesome, we get the Frenetic Crescendo once per short rest, or once per long rest. Awesome. So we just have one more ability that we have to add. So let's go ahead and add Virtuoso of Captivation. Upon reaching 14th level, we can begin conducting a mystical symphony as an action, distracting and capturing the minds of nearby enemies. For up to 10 minutes, any number of creatures we choose within 60 feet who can hear us have disadvantage on any saving throws against being charmed and against magical sleep. So this is a nice buff ability. In addition, affected targets have disadvantage on perception rolls that rely on sight or sound to detect targets other than you. That's bad. Most of the time. this sort of reminds me of like a certain thing that happens in campaign 1 of Critical Role that has to do with music. This would have been a clutch there. So in combat, we must spend our action each turn to continue the performance, or the effect ends once we use the Virtuoso of Captivation. We must finish a short or long rest before we can use it again. So this is a really complicated class ability, but none of it really affects our player. It'll only do it temporarily, if anything. So all we really need to keep up with here is that this is a limited use class ability that recharges during a short or long rest that takes an action to do. So let's add just that. This takes 1 action, and you do have to keep using this every turn, but that's something that our player is going to have to keep track of. That's not something that we can program into the sheet. This is something that we get at 14th level, and this is the 5th class ability that we've added. There are no options. We're not hiding it, so that's fine. So, limited use class ability. This is Virtuoso of Captivation. This recharges during a short rest or a long rest, but if you take a long rest, you gain the benefits of a short rest. It seems self-explanatory, but it comes up on the forums a lot. We get this at level 14, and we can only use it once. And that's pretty much it. This document, which again you can get from the DM's Guild, it does have the optional feat Journeyman and Conductor, but that's going to be something else entirely. Like you would need to make a feat that has all of the symphony shit. What are they called? All the conducting techniques in there, and then also add the modifiers. We could do that, but we've already been going for 45 minutes. I think this is a good bit of content that we got out today. One thing that we do need to make sure we do is once we finish up a class, let's just remove the draft so that we know, hey, our players can take this. They don't have to worry about saying, hey, Connor, I really like this class, but it has draft. Do you need somebody to playtest it? Like, no, just go ahead, take it. Let's make sure that our level 14 Link gets his limited use class ability. Awesome. And yeah, it looks like that's everything. So guys, this is my first time doing something like this. It's good to get out something that has to do with D&D Beyond. Yeah, I really like this. It's going to be so much better in the next couple of weeks, months. So yeah, thanks for stopping by, and y'all have fun. Let me know if there are any other subclasses that you like, that you want to see how I or someone else might want to add this to the system. And yeah, for now, thanks guys for stopping by, and I will see y'all later. If y'all like this class, make sure that you can buy it from the DM's Guild, Bardic College of the Maestro from Matthew Mercer, as part of Critical Role. Pay what you want, so why not go ahead and pick it up? And yeah, for real this time. Thanks guys.